Startup Unscripted. The questions you have with the truths you need to hear.
Help doctors get into practice the way they want to get into practice. Hashtag truth. That's why we put it out there. What we want to do is we want to bring truth to the startup game.
And now your host, Michael Dinsio.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Startup Unscripted. As you guys know, my name is Michael Dinsio, founder of Next Level Consultants. And today we got a great topic because it's one of those sleeper topics and things that you need to have dialed before you open. And yet there's so much mystery behind it because I think the industry just makes it that way. And so we're talking all things card processing, merchant services. And I always get those proposals sent over. And I got to be honest, I'm an ex-banker. I don't know how the hell to read them. So today we have an expert and I'm super excited about having him on the program, the owner and manager of Dental Card Services. Alex, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Michael. Really appreciate the opportunity to be with you. And look, let's face it, startups are awesome, right? Small independent businesses are the backbone of this great country we live in. And I'm thrilled to have a chance to talk with you and your audience. Over the last decade, I've seen some just amazing things transpire in dentistry more broadly, but in merchant services. And my only wish is that I had an opportunity to chat with folks early on and, hopefully share a little perspective so they can make the right decisions for them and their business.
And this is that platform, Alex. Here you go, man. So give us, this is it. Who knows where we're going to go with this? It is totally unscripted. I do want to cover mostly merchant services, but Alex, if you feel like taking this a different direction, we can let you do that. But buddy, give me a little bit about dental card services. And I always say we lose people after about 5 minutes. So don't put us all to sleep on a big sales pitch. But I do want you to explain your company and how your mission, your vision, why you got into it. Just give us the elevator pitch, so to speak, on you guys and how you help doctors do what they do.
No, absolutely. Look, it was an accident like everything in life that seems to go well, right? It was never what you intended or planned to do. I was actually, early 2000, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, probably about 8, was looking to buy a business in a service business that served the underbanked, right? Those are people who don't have a bank account or can't get one in the United States. And the financial systems out there were designed to really just hammer these poor folks who, not poor, economically poor, but these folks who weren't banked, and when they go to cash their paycheck, they get hammered with fees. Well, we were trying to buy a business that provided a service to help those individuals and those employers. And that deal fell through. But in the process, I got exposed to this credit card processing industry and learned all these amazing terms. And at the end of that project, I was like, wait a minute, this entire industry seems to be designed to confuse the living heck out of everybody.
Dude,
it's unregulated and it makes no sense to me as a business owner. So I decided, I'm going to do something really smart. I'm going to go contact 10 of our dental friends and we're going to say, hey, look, you guys are awesome. You have great businesses. You have great financial wealth. Your transactions are really riskless. You have great relationships with your customers. This isn't like the diet pills that are being sold online, all this other junk. I bet you're getting taken care of like at a super high level by all your friends and trusted advisors. We did a survey of 10 practices and it was absolutely mind blowing. They were getting hammered. They were paying more in fees than businesses with higher risk, lower credit. None of it made sense. You could not have thought this would be possible.
Okay.
And it drove us nuts. And we're like, oh my God, this shouldn't happen. And then we were like, well, why is this happening? So we said, you know what? Forget this other idea we're going to do. Let's start a business that serves dentists.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it completely different. We're never going to outspend the big banks and their 200 salespeople and their $100 million marketing budgets. We're going to give everyone access to the same type of plan, which was a truly transparent plan. We get in this later. We're going to give them the lowest cost in the country. So we researched everybody out there who had a national program, a regional program that was standardized. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be less than that. And then third, we were going to do away with the We were going to do away with the certain complexities in the industry that eliminated doctor choices and flexibility. Long-term contracts, leased equipment, all that nonsense. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if we didn't provide you value, you
Yeah.
could leave. There was no downside, right? And so you go to a startup mentality, you're like, what's the greatest flexibility for a startup? It's their ability to make a different decision when the other decision is no longer providing them what they need.
That's right. Yeah, I
Right?
hate long contracts, and there's a lot of that. So we're going to probably get into that, but
Yeah.
so basically, you saw a need, you cut out all the bullshit, and you started this company saying, "Hey, let's offer this to dentists." Why dentistry? Why not just go after the whole world with that same model?
Well, you could. The problem is, how do I put it this way? If I called you up, called your office, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Dinsio. First of all, I'm gonna get screened out by your front desk 99.99% of the time. You're not gonna believe me, because if you've been in business more than a few years, you've probably already been taken advantage of no less than 10 times.
You got a little thickness on your skin now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and most people, what they do is they have these large sales forces. Well, sales forces aren't free, so you have to charge a lot to pay for your sales force. Right. So they have these sales forces go out there and making tons of calls. And in merchant services, which is also credit card processing, it's the same thing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
An average merchant services firm has to make 100 phone calls to get one client. Dental card services never makes a cold call.
Because 100%. Because we refer you.
Well, yeah, no, but literally since inception, well, not since like the first year, yes, I called on some people. Okay. But literally for our life, 99% of everybody calls us
because of customer referrals.
Yeah. Because someone had an experience. They're not paid to do this. They had an experience and they shared with their peers, either on a forum or through another trusted advisor. Right. So we convert where they might have to do 100 phone calls to get 1.5 customers. We get on average right now this year. I looked the other day, it's like 60 customers per 100 phone calls. And you go, how is that possible? Well, it's possible back to what I just said. We've been doing it for over a decade. Everyone qualifies for the same transparent pricing. Our pricing is in our brochure. None of this BS. Hey, show me how bad you're getting taken care of. I'm going to charge you a little bit less.
I know.
I'm going to pocket the rest. And you're going to switch.
Alex, hold on that, because I want to get into that. Like,
let's do it.
I so want to get into that. But so I love the vision. I love just the unscripted style you got going on. Folks, audience, you're on my side right now. Let's get as much as we can out of Alex as possible, because he's just going to give us all the goods right now. So I'm saying that as a joke, but seriously, like, there's no transparency is the key, and it's why I do refer you guys. So let's just, before we get into any of that kind of stuff, I do want to go there. Let's just hit what is merchant services, just in general. You call it credit card processing, merchant services. Is there a deeper way of saying, hey, just processing money through credit cards? Or
no, there's a much deeper way, and we can get into flow charts of who holds risk, where's the risk allocated. But there's a couple of fundamental principles, right? When you sign a merchant account, you're basically, as a business owner, you're signing up for the privilege of having people come into your business and pay via credit card. And it is a privilege, because when they pay by that credit card, that money, as long as you're set up correctly, most likely will be in your bank account. Cash will be in your bank account the following day. Now, people go, well, who cares? Well, that's not that big a deal. Well, it's kind of a big deal, because let me give you an example. Let's say I ran a travel company and I sold 4,000 reservations on a cruise, 4,000 person cruise, and I took all your money today.
Are you a big cruise guy, by the way? You do?
No, I've never been on one. Right? I'm just using it as an example because people like cruises.
All right, sorry, distracted.
Right?
So, all right, so you're a travel agent. You're collecting money for all these.
I'm the business owner, and I just sold 4,000 reservations on my thing.
Okay.
I just pocketed $1,000 per the 400, deposited it in the business owner's account. That business goes bankrupt the next day. Nobody went on their cruise. Every single one of us is a consumer, and it's our favorite thing as a consumer, right? Man, I just got screwed.
Yeah, right.
I called my bank. I need to do a chargeback.
Yeah.
The bank goes, what happened? I paid for a service I didn't get.
Yeah.
They go, we got you. They click a button. They click 2 buttons. Your money is back in your account tomorrow. However, the business is gone.
Right.
So someone now has to pay for that business because the business took the money and went out, right? So in dentistry, none of that happens, but that's what drives a lot of the nuance. So long story short, merchant services is the ability for you to take payment via credit card from your consumer.
Yes.
And it's the process that governs how you do it, when you get the money, and what type of fees you pay, which we can get into later because it depends on what kind of plan you're on.
That's
But
really
that's
cool.
all it does.
That's really cool the way you described that, because you're right. Unless you step back as an employer or a consumer, I don't think people do realize that that's a service. I mean, it's 2023. Like, we're all so accustomed to just, like, using your watch to pay for coffee, and like, it's just such the way it is. But it is a service, and it does cost money for that service. And there are guarantees. Everybody talks about, we'll use your credit card so that there's no risk that someone's going to screw you. And that's built into the system, is what you're saying. That's pretty cool.
No, it is. And there's different risks, right? And that's why my passion, we talked about dentistry. Dentists shouldn't, it's very riskless, not risk-free, but it has less risk, right? Usually you're paying for the procedure not 9 months in advance, right? It's after it was performed, and there are shenanigans that take place, but it's usually not on the owner side. It's on a patient claiming, I didn't get the dentistry I wanted. And it's like, are you kidding me? You were in the chair. They had you in the chair.
Right.
Right. Like,
Exactly. Oh, well, I've never really had anybody break that down so eloquently. And that actually leads us really nicely into the next piece of this, because there is risk. There is risk in how people process. I mean, using the watch, hand keying the numbers in, using the credit card. I think when I tell people, hey guys, there's a lot to look at here when you're looking at merchant services. And I feel, I don't feel like, I am telling you, there's some predatory shit out there where merchant service companies, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and they make it very complex to understand. And but the truth is there's lots of different ways to charge you as the business owner for the different types of processing. And Alex, I want to kind of defunct that or decode that, because it's just, we could talk about cloud, we could talk about all kinds of things, because cloud software is really taking off. But let's just go with the real basic stuff here of the different types of ways, because I think
let's go through that, and let me just hit one very overarching comment, because it'll flow through as we dig deeper.
Love it.
Merchant processing is one of the few industries where you never get a bill.
Right, that's true.
It's not a bill.
Yeah,
it's a statement, and they've already taken your money out. Right. So what happens?
Wouldn't that be nice in dentistry, by the way?
Oh, it would be lovely.
You do a crown, and there's no
and I get excited, right? So I just want to make sure you understand the place I'm coming from. Nothing I'm saying is meant to be critical about any operational. However, what often happens is when an office engages in something new, the first time that statement or bill hits the team's desk, the team goes, I don't recognize this on the bank statement. Or I don't recognize this on the credit card statement. And they go to the owner or the chief principal party and they say, what is this XYZ company $74? And the business owner says, oh, that's XYZ. Office goes, great. They put a big giant check mark next to that. The next month, that number may be different on what you were billed, but it's the same company. And they go, great, check. I know where to put that.
Why is it $82? Yeah. Oh, that's the merchant. Yep.
Yeah, that's the merchant services, right? It's because it's not like the statement says, hey, this is what your XYZ has done over time, and you're now paying 30% more per transaction. But don't worry about that. That doesn't go on your statement, right? So that's my first point. Now, let's just put that to the side.
Okay.
merchant services fundamentally, there's two elements. There's an element of what do things cost, which can and cannot have anything to do with what you're being billed as a business owner. They don't correlate in dentistry. They don't correlate 97% of the time, right? Now, when I say the true cost, right? So here's what typically happens. And there's been, if you and I had this chat 10 years ago, we would have had slightly different numbers. Yeah. And it may have been a different mix. So we probably would have been talking about the wonderful world of PIN debit, right? Now it's evolved. Today, there's typically fundamentally 4 types of plans. Okay.
4 types. All right.
But there's variations of them, and there's some really nasty stuff going on that I'll highlight. Okay. But let me just, for the listeners, let's just put it in 4. There is surcharge. Okay. Surcharges plan. Have you ever been in one of the big box stores and like, we have merchant processing for 1.39% and 10 cents? Right. I'm going to tell you this. If your total cost was 1.39% and 10 cents, you'd be the happiest business owner I know in the country. Right. It's horse. It's not true. Yeah. What they're saying is we're going to charge every single one of your transactions 1.39% and 10 cents. Oh, by the way, in the footnotes, it says qualified transactions. And that begs the question, well, if it's not qualified, what is the rate?
What is it when it's not qualified?
Exactly. And then they'll have some very fancy language that says surcharges or mid-qual or this or that. And when you call up complaining that you thought you were going to be at 1.39% and 10 cents and your office is like, we're at 2.8%. The very astute customer service rep is going to say, Dr. Dinsio, you have to understand those Visa and MasterCard transactions you're taking with those big rewards cards, those cost a lot more. So that's the difference for Visa and MasterCard. Do you really believe that 100% of that difference is what they're paying to Visa and MasterCard for that transaction?
I don't think our client, I definitely don't think my clients are even digging in on this level, Alex.
No. Over 50% of dentistry has this type of plan today. They're on surcharge pricing.
Surcharge I can tell you this. Pricing. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
so
one of the 4. One of the
4 surcharge. And I can go, Mike, what are you paying? I'm paying 1.4% and 10 cents.
Yeah. That's what they say to me all the time. But
no, you're not, Mike. Yeah. No, you're not.
I'm
willing to take a bet. No, you're not.
It's true.
Right?
And actually that kind of plays into some of the cloud BS, Alex, because if you go with, I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to start any fights with anybody, but like go with one of the cloud services. Do they sell that type, the number one type that I'm talking about?
They have different types, right?
Okay.
They have different types. And it's not really, to me, it's not really where it's cloud or not cloud. But let's go through the other 3 types, and we'll come back to that if that's okay. So one is surcharge, right? You just hit
surcharge.
Second is what I call tiered plans. A tiered plan, you would see qualified rate, mid-qualified rate, non-qualified rate. Now, why do they do that? Well, because they get to decide how the transactions go and what buckets they go into.
Well, who decides that? Who decides?
The processor who sets up your plan.
Oh, okay.
It's their choice. There's no qualified, mid-qualified, non-qualified allocation. It's what they choose. Now, how is it typically done? Well, if you understand how the true costs are, and we'll go to that in a second, what kind of card is used?
Yes.
Is it a credit card? Is it a debit card? Is it used in person?
Okay.
Or is it over the phone or basically card not present?
Or tap on the.
Yeah. So in person, card not present. Basically what it means is the card physically rendered for that transaction, or is it manually entered?
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
Now, if it's manually entered, that card may be prompted for what's your street number, what's your CVV, what's your zip code, all those other ways of verifying
the security
that it's you, right? Which in theory is reducing risk. Then there's rewards, right? Look, we all love our free points, don't we?
Oh, I do. I love them.
Well, yeah, you know who pays for them?
You do.
The business owner who took the credit card.
Oh, the business owner does.
That's where this funds. That's where Interchange, how these cards get rated, because they fund benefits.
I'm part of the problem. I didn't realize it.
We all are. We all are, and we love it, right? We love it as a consumer, and we hate it as a business owner.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it, right? The only way we might like it as a business owner, other than the protection when we do something and somebody maybe is unkind to us and we need help, is it's great because you just pay everyone by credit card and then you don't have to issue all the tax forms at the end of the year. So that's tiered plans, okay? And there's some other nuances in there, but let's keep it a high level. The third is what I call, I like to always call it the Vegas plan because I like Vegas, but let's just call it flat rate, okay?
You do kind of strike me as a guy that knows his way around Vegas.
I like the crap stables.
Folks, if you aren't getting into YouTube, you should be, because this guy has probably the most impressive, elaborate background that I'm so jealous of right now. And are you just a whiskey?
Bourbon.
Is that a bourbon? Yeah.
It's probably 85% bourbon. There's some good scotch as well, and some Irish whiskey. And
I gotta go to Alex's house.
I enjoy collecting.
Okay, so sorry. So I digress. No, so the Vegas.
So I call it the flat rate plan. You call it the Vegas plan. And here's how it works.
Okay.
Mike, this is too complicated. All you really want to know is how much credit card processing is going to cost you each month. I'm going to make it really simple for you. It's just going to be 2.8% and 10 cents.
Just straight up, just done and done.
And you go, hey, great. Thanks, Alex. And your statement at the end of the month, and whether it's 2.8, usually it's not that low on a flat rate, but all they're going to show you is, Mike, you processed this much money, 2.8% times this number of transactions times that. Here's your total bill.
Just math.
And you go, hey, great. The problem is, let me ask you a question. Do you think the people who offer those plans up know more about your business than you?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think
on the ones that are really low risk, they're making a killing, and the ones that are high risk, they're you're probably paying for high risk on every time.
Yeah. So I call it a basket, right? So they know, for example, hey, an average dental practice, maybe they have bed tables, does 25, 50% debit cards. On average, it's 80% card not present, 20% card present. There might be some rewards in. So, hey, the real cost should be somewhere around 1.6%, but I might have some transactions I have to pay over 3%. We want to make a killing off this anyway, so we're gonna put in extra protection, or profit.
Yes,
and they make good money doing it. Right?
Got it.
So, so I call this betting against the house. You're betting against the house.
One size fits all without under really standing your company, but it's easy to figure out what the fee should be, but you're probably being taken advantage of. Got it. Okay.
I would just generally say you have no way of knowing how much you're paying in profit on top of the true cost.
Yeah.
Not only that, you don't have a statement that breaks down the details, so you have no way of figuring out, hey, I can tell you right now, if you're 100% debit card, that processor's and card present, that processor is making over 1% or more off of you. Maybe
guys, that's what I want. That's what I want to talk about this last one forward, but that's what I wanted this episode to be about, is to understand that when you are negotiating with the CERIC rep or the Pano rep or the bank or even the seller, if you're buying a practice, it doesn't matter, contractors, you're negotiating all this stuff and you're trying to figure out what's a fair deal and profit centers and all of that stuff. Merchant services is no different. It's just so damn confusing. I'm already a little confused, to be honest with you, but it's so damn confusing. How are you even to know what their actual profit is? And so that's what we're doing right now.
No, you got it, right? And I'm going to boil it down to just like one thing you actually have to know at the end of all this nonsense.
Okay, so, all right, so four.
So there's three. The fourth one is what is truly called interchange cost plus. And what that means is you're going to be charged the actual real costs per the Visa, MasterCard, and Discover interchange tables for that card, for that transaction, how it was processed, based on the dollar amount, period. That flows 100% through to you with no shenanigans, no hidden markups. And by the way, I say no because they're doing it now under a new hybrid one. And it flows through. The markup.
What's that one called? What's that fourth option called?
The fourth one is called Interchange Cost Plus. And I might trademarked the phrase called true interchange cost plus because there's some shenanigans, right? So for the last 10 years, I've been preaching from I can't say this. I've been very vocal on you need to go on interchange cost plus because if you do, you'll at least know what your true costs are. Then you can see how much markup your provider, but you'll get a statement that's transparent. You'll be able to tell it, right? So there's a couple things. The other side of it is the plus is the markup. So that let's just pretend they had a markup of 10 cents and 30 basis points. Okay. 30 basis points is 0.3% in written form. That's the equivalent of $30 on 10,000.
Okay.
10 cents obviously is per transaction, right? So at the end of the day, and the reason I say this is we've been doing interchange cost plus since inception, right? And I've had people over the years call up and go, hey, I got to talk to you. So-and-so said I could save $600 a month or $400 a month. I'm like, you should sign up with them. And they're like, well, what can you do? And I say, well, they're going to lose $375 a month. He goes, how's that possible? I said, they're offering you a number that's lower than the true cost of that transaction. Not even forget profit. It's negative. And they're like, oh, so you're telling me they're full of, and I said, I'm not telling you anything. I'm just saying, if they're willing to put that in writing and lock it down, man, hit the bid.
Yeah,
but if you do, just remember, they can probably change your price in 6 months. So those are the 4 types. But I want to just step way above this, right? At the end of the day, the only number that matters is what's the total amount of money they're taking out of your bank account that month divided by the total dollar volume that you processed in that month. That is your effective rate. That is the one, whether you use dental card or not, I mean, no offense, I'd love to have everyone, right? But life's not that easy. Just know that number for the rest of your life because the travesties I've seen is when folks didn't know that number. And when I mean know it, I mean you go calculate it. Once a month, it takes 2 minutes or less, right? My total bill divided by my total volume equals what percent. If that ever gets out a wonky level, you know you have something you need to look at. It may go wonky for a very good reason. It may go wonky for several bad reasons. And there's bad reasons out there, right? As new business owners, you guys are going to be approached with a lot of great stuff. People who lend you money are going to tell you how important it is for you to sign up for their provider that's affiliated with that bank. You do not have to do so. They will tell you often you're going to get a better deal. That's great. Stay on top of it because here's what we typically see. If you do something like that, you're going to be told, hey, I got this really fancy, nice terminal that is probably like killing a gnat with a bazooka instead of a fly swatter. That terminal is probably $800 to $900, but they're going to give it to you for a really cheap price, maybe a rental, maybe lease, maybe they'll subsidize it.
Guys, this is the machine that you use to push the credit cards in, and there's some really fancy devices and stuff. So I've been seeing a lot of that, yes.
So, Mike, have you ever met a consumer anywhere who said, man, I go to that business because they got the nicest machine I've ever paid my bill on?
No.
Okay.
It is nice. It is nice that that they can accept a tap to pay. But other than that,
of course. No, you want the flexibility. But where I'm going is what traditionally happens is the banks have partnered with one merchant services provider. It's kind of like your cloud question, but we'll go to that later. Yeah. The bank rep who is really taking good care of you, your relationship person, they're not a merchant services person. They get a nice pat on the back and a thank you internally for referring someone to their provider. Once you're in their ecosystem, you're not typically in your relationship provider's camp. So what do we typically see in startups who go this route? At some point, 6 months, year and a half, 2 years, all of a sudden what they thought they were going to be paying has changed. And it's a lot more. So that gets me to my 2 points. First is know what you're paying as a percent in total. I will tell you as a startup, it's not going to be that meaningful because your volume's not that large.
Right.
It will become meaningful longer, right? So there can be some wonky analysis initially. Second is if you don't have the ability to fire them without paying a fee to leave, and you're not stuck with an 800-pound paperweight that you cannot reprogram or use at any other processor because it is proprietary to only that bank in your account, then you have maximum freedom. And freedom is your greatest asset as a business owner.
Yeah, and that goes for any really contract that you're looking at as a startup, because the truth is half of the stuff you're not sure if any of these are the best decisions, but you're going through the process. If you don't have a consultant like myself or others that are kind of weighing, and that's why some of these Facebook forums and stuff are nice. But like just locking in with anybody for a year or even more, that's not a good idea just in general, because you're making the best decisions you can. But one of the very first things right out of your mouth should be, hey, what's the commitment level? How long am I stuck here? Because if you make a mistake, you just need to be able to get out of it.
Or if they lie to you, right? Like a lot, I mean, let's be clear, right? I mean, you just busted your butt in school, right? For a long time to become a clinician. You're now having the opportunity to own a business. You've got and look, I'm a cost guy by heart, right? I don't want anyone to pay more for things that they shouldn't have to pay. I'm all about the independent business owner, right? Mm-hmm. Keep your money, invest your money where you want to do it, whether in your practice, whether personally, whether paying down student debt. Like I'm all for that. But true value creation in dentistry, true long-term wealth is created by increasing your production hour, what you earn per hour, clinically and in hygiene, right? And spending a ton of time having to measure the microns of some of these areas is not a good use of your time. That's why I'm like, keep it simple, right? Do I have the ability to leave if I'm unhappy? And what am I paying on average? As long as you have those two relationships and you know what's going on, you can choose to engage or not engage when it suits you. Now, there are some things to watch out for that 5 years ago probably wasn't that big a deal for some of you new folks, is this concept, and I'm just going to hit this one, Mike, because it's a massive pet peeve of mine.
Okay.
Is called virtual credit cards. So, Mike, how many of your clients love the discount they take on their fee schedules for the benefit of accepting that insurance provider in their office? Do they raise you up and go, Mike, I'm thrilled with ABC insurance because I'm only taking a 28% deduction on my my regular fee schedule?
Specifically with Delta Dental, they love them.
Yeah, I'm not going to use names. All I'm going to say is you are already giving a massive discount.
Right.
For your, in some cases, massive. Some people have different philosophies.
Right.
Yeah. You're already just paying
whatever.
Them a fee.
Taking a drop from your standard.
You're taking a fee for their marketing, their great support, all this stuff. That's fine.
Yeah.
But what you don't understand is years ago, some really smart people went to and said, "Hey, I got an idea. You know what? These insurance companies, they write a lot of checks, don't they? I'm going to convince them to issue, instead of a check, a piece of paper with a virtual credit card number on it."
We talked about this today at our other podcast. Literally went live earlier today.
Oh, no. This is horrible.
They're sending debit cards to process in office.
No. So here's what you don't know, right? So there's a bank behind that who issues that virtual. There's always a bank behind something like this, right?
It's always saying there's always so what you're saying is anytime a banker is involved, be careful.
I know. I mean, I'm just making a point. Anytime you have a card, whether it be physical or virtual, someone, and you probably need to gray out my card numbers I just flashed, but somebody needs to issue that. It's an issuing bank.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
So that gets rated. They put it in with Visa or MasterCard. Well, the true interchange cost on, let's say, one of those cards for one of those virtual credit cards might be 2.89% and 10 cents. So you say, well, why does that matter to a practice? Well, Mike, we just had a discussion that the true cost of what it is and what I pay as a practice aren't necessarily the same thing. So if I was on a true interchange cost plus plan, which less than 10% of the dentists in this country are on, that transaction would cost me 2.89 and 10 cents plus the markup, and the assessment.
Yeah.
However, if I was on a surcharge plan, if I was on a tiered plan, on surcharge, what's the surcharge? On tiered, is that mid-qual or non-qual? It's card not present. I have seen people paying north of 4, 5, 6% here. I literally had a doctor the other day say, I don't understand. We're on one of these low-cost interchange plans, and my rates are now through the roof. And I looked. I said, Doctor, your markup hasn't changed. I'll tell you what's changed. You see this interchange thing? This is why transparency matters. Doctor, I'm willing to bet you lunch that your team has decided to start accepting insurance payments via virtual credit card because it's efficient. because there's forums out there telling you this is how good it is for you. No, it is an absolute gold mine for everyone involved in that space. And often now the carrier replaced the cost center with some kind of profit center.
Yeah, right.
So now I'm taking a 20% hit on my fee schedule. Oh, and by the way, on the 72% I hit, now I'm also taking another 4 to 5% off that. Thank you very much. So
guys, big picture, essentially is something as simple as getting your reimbursements from the insurance company through a debit card, because they're now sending debit cards to make payments, and then running that through the processor is just another discount, is ultimately to really water that down. That it's absolutely right. You have to think about the flow of money in your practice and each layer and how many kind of little layers there are. Merchant services is no different. So Alex, to kind of get to the finale of our episode today, leave us with the last couple maybe red flags or last minute kind of value adds here that are going to help our listeners make better decisions with processing.
Yeah, I would say, first of all, know your number. What's your effective rate? Second, make sure that you have the flexibility to leave in writing without any penalties, because that's your greatest freedom. Those two things, you'll eventually find a good home. And when you find a good home, stay. There's a lot of good people out there. Everyone in this industry has the ability to treat you right today. My biggest thing is this. The industry lives this way. Doctor, send me your current statement so I can see how much I can save you. That is BS. That is code for doctor. Let me see how bad you're getting taken care of, and I'll keep the rest. Get the pricing up front, and you can learn everything you want about that person. Right? You can learn, did they recommend the right plan type up front? Did they take away all the BS up front? Did they give me their best effort up front? That means gold, right? So those are my three generic things, right? That's
guys, doesn't that make sense? Let's rewind that. Like, I mean, don't provide people information. Don't negotiate against yourself. If they don't have the information that they think they need to offer you something, then make an offer, and we'll shop them to the rest. But absolutely, just providing that information, it's basically going into a poker game and just having your cards just laid on the table for everybody to see. 100%. Yeah.
So the last two elements I would say is, one, everyone likes, I'm going to get so-and-so to price match. I can't tell you the number of times we had an office that came to us, we did an analysis, we showed them how much they saved. The team decided, we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to let the current provider, who, by the way, was overcharging us $12,000 a year for the last 7 years, keep our business that they so well earned by having them match. The number of times 2 or 3 years later, that office then contacts us, hey, things feel a little bit different again. Will you look? And it's back to where it was, or it's worse. Okay. So don't fall victim to that. And my final thing is, you create value on the clinical side doing dentistry, and savings are important. And I always like to think of, it's your business, it's your decision. And I always love to put a number into a production equivalent. It's your business, right? When someone says, it's not worth $2,000 a year for me to make a change, that's fine if you're saying it, because you know how much dentistry you need to do to generate that $2,000 of profit. If you're in a 10% EBITDA business, that's $20,000 in production. How many MODs is that? How many hygiene visits, right? For profit, right? So I tend to like to think, like, I love efficiency. I've written about lean in my life. I had a background in aerospace defense. I love integration. I love reducing waste. But fundamentally, every decision you make has a cost to it. And is the value I'm getting worth that investment?
Amen. Yeah. Everything needs to be attached to some kind of ROI. And if you choose to invest and make those decisions, you have to get your ROI out of it. Otherwise, it was just a bad decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
here's the good news. We're all going to make bad decisions. The ability to spot them early and get out of them as quickly as possible is huge.
Isn't that huge, Alex? You own your company. I own my company. We've made bad decisions.
Oh, yeah.
It's identifying where those decisions are, quickly pivoting, but just knowing knowing is half the battle. Closing your eyes and going through this world in dentistry and business and being just, frankly, just it's not. It's with the insurance reimbursements and dentists coming into markets. It's more saturated than ever in certain areas with inflation. Cost of bread's high right now in this very moment. All kinds of pressure, it's hard enough, quote unquote, but just to kind of make cavalier decisions and not understand how to get your ROI out of it. I mean, and not really owning your business is you honestly cannot afford to do that anymore in this day.
And I think splitting what you spend time on, right? Merchant services is not a 10-hour exercise. No. I'm going to tell you right now, this is a 5-minute exercise. Contact someone reputable. First of all, calculate your effective rate.
Yep.
Then contact some people who are reputable.
Yeah.
If you want us to be one of those people, great. If not, that's okay. You're still going to get value out of it. You'll find the reputable firms, ask them to make proposals. Then after you have the proposals, see who you like, and then have them do the analysis for you based on that proposal and what your detail shows, because you already have their pricing and plan.
Yeah.
And see it. And then you'll say, oh, do I have an opportunity to save? Yes or no.
That's right.
Is that number worth my time? Yes or no? That's a 5-minute exercise. Here's the problem. Michael, we had an office the other day. The savings were 6 figures, single location, $125,000.
And they didn't. Okay. And they didn't move forward.
No. They had just recently sold, so the buyer
saw it.
The buyer,
nice.
Well, yeah, but what do you think that cost the owner doctor?
Oh,
10 years of $125,000 in cash flow,
$1 million. Yeah,
the 6 times EBITDA multiple. My point is this: you don't have to be overly precise. Taking action now has massive consequences, right? Yeah. So figure out where you can spend 5 to 10 minutes a day or a week tackling some of these, because waiting 5 years it literally could be the difference in millions of dollars, but you don't know.
Yeah.
So
love it.
That's my passion. So I really appreciate it.
I can see your passion. Thank you. I learned some stuff every time I talk to someone that knows more about merchant services than I do, which is a lot. I learned something. And in this case, I learned a ton. Guys, I hope you take advantage of this knowledge center in Alex. Check out Dental Card Services. They're on every single next level coach's mouth, because we know that the prices will be right and that the contracts will be short, and that's an easy referral for us. But there's a lot of others out there too, and hopefully some of these things resonate with you. So Alex, thank you so much for your time, brother. It took a minute to get you on this, and time is an investment, and you just invested in us and the audience. So thank you so much, brother. I appreciate your time.
I'm thrilled to do it, and thanks for what you're doing for the docs out there. It's important.
Thanks, brother. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.